Hello. Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar is a Syrian economist and politician who has played a significant role in the country's economic affairs over the past 2 decades. Born in Aleppo in 1956, al-Shaar earned a Bachelor of Arts in Economics from the University of Aleppo in 1980. He later obtained a PhD in economics from George Washington University in the United States. From 1996 to 2001, he served as a professor in the Faculty of Economics at the University of Aleppo. He has authored books on the stock market and principles of Islamic and traditional banking business, and served as Secretary General of the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions. He has also worked as Head of Market Performance Analysis at Fannie Mae and as a Vice President at Johnson & Wiggins in Washington, D.C. al-Shaar's political career began with his tenure as a member of the People's Council of Syria from 2003 to 2007. He was appointed Minister of Economy and Trade in 2011, serving under President Bashar al-Assad and Prime Minister Adel Safar. His term coincided with the onset of the Syrian civil war, a period marked by significant economic challenges and international sanctions. Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar's technocratic experience is marked by his efforts to navigate Syria's complex economic landscape during periods of significant upheaval. With a PhD in economics from George Washington University and a background as a professor at the University of Aleppo, al-Shaar brought academic rigor to his roles in government. His tenure as Minister of Economy and Trade from 2011 to 2012 coincided with the onset of the Syrian civil war, during which he faced the challenge of maintaining economic stability amid international sanctions and internal conflict. In his capacity as minister, al-Shaar advocated for economic self-sufficiency, emphasizing the need to revitalize neglected sectors such as agriculture and local manufacturing. He acknowledged the severity of the economic crisis, describing it as the worst in Syria's recent history, and called for efficient resource distribution and better management of trade and factories. His approach aimed to balance the liberalization of the economy with the preservation of essential state functions, allowing the private sector to operate with greater flexibility while maintaining oversight of strategic industries. During his tenure, al-Shaar publicly criticized economic sanctions imposed by the Arab League, describing them as a dangerous precedent that would harm the Syrian populace. He also acknowledged the severity of the economic crisis, labeling it the worst in Syria's recent history. He served in this role until June 2012. However, from 2013 until 2014, he was temporarily sanctioned by the European Union for his suspected involvement in crimes against the Syrian people by the Assad regime. In particular, in 2013, he was among those individuals subjected to restrictive measures by the European Union. Specifically, Council implementing regulation included him in the list of persons subject to these measures. When these suspensions were proven to be unfounded, sanctions against Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar were lifted. In 2014, the European Union's General Court annulled sanctions against al-Shaar, ruling that the measures could not be upheld solely based on his brief tenure as a government minister without specific evidence of his involvement in post-tenure activities. Although he left the cabinet of Bashar al-Assad in 2012, Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar continued to try to contribute to the improvement of the Syrian economy during the Syrian civil war, from 2011 until 2025. He participated in discussions regarding the formulation of laws to facilitate investment, the support and development of national industries and industrial zones, the creation of job opportunities, and efforts to increase exports. He was also involved in matters regarding the needs of displaced people. On March 29, 2025, al-Shaar was appointed as the Minister of Economy and Industry in Syria's transitional government under President Ahmed al-Sharaa. This appointment followed the establishment of the Ministry of Economy and Industry, which was formed by merging the Ministry of Economy and Foreign Trade, the Ministry of Industry, and the Ministry of Internal Trade and Consumer Protection. al-Shaar's technocratic leadership extended beyond policy formulation to include direct engagement with economic challenges on the ground. His return to government service in 2025 as Minister of Economy and Industry, as the transitional government underscored his continued commitment to applying his economic expertise to Syria's recovery efforts. In this role, he has been involved in initiatives aimed at restructuring the economy, addressing corruption, and fostering an environment conducive to investment and sustainable growth. Throughout his career, al-Shaar has exemplified the role of a technocrat by leveraging his academic background and practical experience to inform policy decisions. His focus on data-driven strategies and institutional reform reflects a consistent effort to address Syria's economic challenges through informed and pragmatic approaches. As Syria navigates a complex post-conflict transition, Minister of Economy and Industry Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar faces a multitude of policy challenges that demand both immediate and long-term strategic responses. One of the most pressing issues is the country's devastated infrastructure, particularly in the energy sector. Electricity shortages are severe, with many areas receiving only a few hours of power daily. Despite securing gas deals and accessing oil fields, the damaged infrastructure limits power production. Efforts are underway to gradually increase electricity supply, but full restoration remains a distant goal. In response to these challenges, al-Shaar is spearheading economic reforms aimed at revitalizing Syria's economy. These include privatizing state-run firms, simplifying the tax system, and rooting out corruption by eliminating ghost employees in the public sector. The government is also digitizing employee records to enhance transparency and efficiency. Additionally, the government is increasing state salaries and offering severance packages to mitigate the impact of public sector downsizing. However, these reforms are met with significant obstacles. International sanctions continue to hinder economic recovery, and there is skepticism from Western nations regarding the government's commitment to democratic norms and inclusivity. al-Shaar acknowledges that lifting these sanctions is crucial for attracting foreign investment and securing international aid, and has been pushing for Syrian reintegration into the SWIFT network. To address these issues, al-Shaar is advocating for a gradual lifting of sanctions, conditional on demonstrable progress in governance and human rights. He emphasizes the need for a state-led reconstruction effort supported by international funding to rebuild the economy and restore public services. In summary, Minister al-Shaar's technocratic approach focuses on implementing structural reforms, combating corruption, and engaging with the international community to facilitate Syria's economic recovery. While the path forward is fraught with challenges, his policies aim to lay the groundwork for a more stable and prosperous Syria. Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar, as Syria's Minister of Economy and Industry in the transitional government, is spearheading a comprehensive economic reform agenda aimed at revitalizing the nation's economy following years of conflict and systemic challenges. A central component of al-Shaar's strategy involves transitioning from a state-controlled economic model to a more liberalized, market-oriented system. This shift includes the privatization of numerous state-owned enterprises, with the exception of strategic assets, to foster private sector growth and attract foreign investment. To facilitate this, the government is simplifying the tax system and reducing bureaucratic barriers, making it easier for businesses to operate and for goods to be imported, as registration with the Damascus Chambers of Commerce now suffices for import authorization, eliminating the need for prior approvals from the Central Bank of Syria. In tandem with economic liberalization, al-Shaar recognizes the importance of energy in economic recovery. Therefore, his ministry is focusing on rehabilitating the energy sector to ensure a sustainable and reliable power supply. Efforts are underway to repair and upgrade infrastructure to achieve a 24-hour electricity supply, which is crucial for both industrial operations and improving the quality of life for citizens. Furthermore, al-Shaar is actively working to combat corruption by scrutinizing the financial activities of individuals and entities associated with the previous regime. This includes investigating the assets of former business elites and freezing accounts linked to corrupt practices, aiming to recover misappropriated funds and restore public trust in economic institutions. On the international front, al-Shaar is engaging with regional partners to secure financial support and investment. Notably, discussions with Saudi Arabia have led to plans for Riyadh to assist in settling Syria's debts, potentially unlocking further aid and investment opportunities. Through these multifaceted policy initiatives, Minister al-Shaar aims to lay the foundation for a resilient and diversified Syrian economy, fostering an environment conducive to growth, stability, and improved livelihoods for the Syrian people. The success of Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar's economic reform agenda in Syria will depend heavily on the coordination and effectiveness of several key institutions, both domestic and international. As the main body under al-Shaar's leadership, the newly consolidated Ministry of Economy and Industry combines the functions of economic planning, industrial development, and trade regulation. Its performance will be central to implementing privatization plans, streamlining regulations, and managing industrial revitalization. The central bank is crucial for stabilizing Syria's monetary system, managing inflation, maintaining currency reserves, and regulating credit. Ashar's success in liberalizing trade and facilitating investment will hinge on the Syrian central bank's cooperation in easing capital controls and supporting financial sector reform. Effective fiscal policy, especially regarding tax reform, public sector restructuring, and budget reallocation, requires close collaboration with the finance ministry. Transparent and efficient tax collection will be essential to reducing Syria's budget deficit and funding development. Although diminished during the war, the State Planning Commission will play an important role in coordinating long-term economic plans, especially in infrastructure recovery, public investment, and aligning donor support with national priorities. To gain investor confidence and reform public administration, a credible rule of law framework is necessary. Independent courts, a functioning audit authority, and anti-corruption agencies will be key in cracking down on cronyism and recovering embezzled state funds. Syrian chambers of commerce and industry will serve as intermediaries between the government and the private sector. Their support is vital in shaping business-friendly regulations and encouraging domestic entrepreneurs to engage with the reform agenda. International institutions such as the IMF, World Bank, UNDP, and Arab Monetary Fund may provide crucial technical assistance, policy advice, and eventually financial support. However, their engagement is likely contingent on political progress and transparency. Gulf Cooperation Council states, especially Saudi Arabia, are emerging as key external backers. Their willingness to help restructure Syria's debt and offer development financing could be decisive, especially if broader international sanctions remain in place. As Syrian Minister of the Economy and Industry, Mohammad Nidal al-Shaar faces an incredibly complex and challenging landscape. The combination of crippling international sanctions, the devastation wrought by years of conflict, and the inherent instability of the region create a formidable set of obstacles. Navigating the reconstruction of a shattered economy, attracting investment, and mitigating the effects of widespread displacement, all while operating within a politically sensitive environment, presents a daunting task. His efforts are further complicated by the need to balance immediate humanitarian needs with long-term economic development strategies, making his role one of immense pressure and consequence.